our economy doesn't sustain it. People can't afford it.
Now on GMU at 7, Salt Lake County housing sales slowing down. Along housing experts now say the competitive market will remain difficult for home buyers.
And the Republican National Convention won't be coming to Utah. Just how long Utahns might have to wait to host the biggest day in GOP politics.
And then the 2-year anniversary of Utah's big earthquake on the Wasatch Front. How some are still rebuilding from the damage and how Utah is preparing for another one.
And as we close out this work week and move into the upcoming weekend, we're going to see some changes, mainly going to be warming things up ahead of a system that will be arriving on Sunday to bring us a pretty good chance for some wet weather. We'll break down the details on Good Morning Utah at 7 that starts right now.
Live from Utah's CW30, Good Morning Utah at 7 starts now.
Good morning, Utah. I'm Brian Carlson.
And I'm Jillian Smuckler. It's 7:01 on this Friday. Thank you for joining us on Utah's CW30.
Today now marks 2 years since a 5.7 magnitude earthquake shook the Wasatch Front. That earthquake knocked out power to tens of thousands of people, damaging buildings in Salt Lake, Magna, and beyond. FEMA continues to provide Utah with millions of dollars for repair for that earthquake damage. For some, rebuilding remains an ongoing process. One of those places is West Valley City. ABC4's Curtis Booker is there live this morning. So Curtis, what's West Valley doing to rebuild today?
Yeah, Brian, part of that rebuilding process here in West Valley City means a new school for some students in the Granite School District. You can see crews just getting on site here, the construction site here, for what will soon be the brand new location for Westlake Junior High. The groundbreaking set to happen officially later on today. Now, we know the original Westlake Junior High School was significantly damaged during that 5.7 earthquake 2 years ago. That led to a temporary relocation for Westlake to a site in Taylorsville. Utah has received $1.5 million in additional funds from FEMA to help cover costs for repairs to things such as roads, bridges, and buildings damaged due to that earthquake. In a recent report, FEMA, along with the Department of Safety, found that nearly 120 schools could collapse if a significant earthquake were to happen, 20 of those being in the Granite School District. The data also shows that more than 100,000 homes and buildings throughout Utah need reinforcement so an earthquake doesn't wipe out an entire structure.
People don't think about the fact, where am I going to go if my home doesn't survive? Well, the natural instinct is, well, I'm going to go to the school because that's where the emergency shelter is.
Now, this rebuilding for Westlake comes nearly 60 years after the original building was built. Many of the other Granite School District schools also built in the mid-1900s. Officials with Granite School District say they have a 40 to 60-year plan to renovate those schools on that list. That groundbreaking is set to happen later on today at 4 o'clock. They say the school, the new junior high, is set to open sometime in 2024. Live in West Valley City, Curtis Booker, ABC4 News.
All right, thank you, Curtis. Now, when that earthquake hit bright and early that morning, we had just gotten off the air here in Good Morning Utah. This is what it looked like inside our news studios. You see the moment the quake hit right there at 7:09. The lights in the studio started shaking, and then our staff went running for cover. The day was a wake-up call that all of us still live in earthquake country. I remember as a young reporter here doing an early story about, hey, we've got a big earthquake coming here in the next 20 years. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the day finally comes and you're like, wow.
Yep, you never expect it. But thankfully, everyone here was okay when that happened. Such a scary situation.
Oh, yeah, everyone didn't know what, you kind of run for cover,
Yeah.
trying to find a safe place to be. Glad less people were hurt.
Absolutely. Well, this morning we have new information about an attempted kidnapping in Logan. The suspect now telling police that he thought the woman involved was his wife. Now, police say Carlos Cineros Diaz admitted to drinking alcohol and arguing with his wife that day. He claims he left his home to go buy cigarettes and saw a woman walking on the street. Now, we're told he thought that she was his wife, so he went to grab her. Police say when he realized she wasn't, he ran away. Now, this morning he's in the Cache County Jail and is facing multiple charges.
In politics, the 2024 Republican National Convention is not coming to Salt Lake City. Salt Lake was in the running, but the Republican National Committee is now looking to host the convention in a political battleground state, whereas Utah is reliably Republican. Nashville and Milwaukee are the two finalists to host the 2024 convention. Salt Lake is being targeted to host in 2028.
Time now is 7:04, which means it's time for your weather on the 4s with meteorologist Thomas Gieboy. And Thomas, this week, after losing that hour, I never recovered. I don't know about you, but I'm so happy it's Friday.
Oh, it's a struggle, especially since it's 7:04 in the morning and we haven't even got to sunrise yet. So it's a little bit of a struggle for those that wake up early like we do. But as we get into this weekend, hopefully we can kind of reset those sleep schedules. But if you're waking up this morning and you're about to head outside, you're still going to get a very pretty view. We're about, I would say, 20-30 minutes away from sunrise here in Salt Lake City, but at least in the meantime, you'll be able to see the full moon. Just a little bit out of the camera view here from our doTERRA downtown Salt Lake City camera. Still have a decent amount of cloud coverage, but most of the cloud coverage around this morning is in the form of high clouds, but it looks like for the most part, majority of those clouds have since moved away down in St. George. Now, we could see a little bit more cloud coverage as we go through the day in St. George, but that's just beautiful, and that's going to be a beautiful sunrise. It's on the chilly side this morning, not too cold, but we're sitting at 29 degrees in Cedar City, 43 in St. George, 36 in Salt Lake City, 23 degrees in Ely, 25 degrees in Elko, so in northeast Nevada, definitely on the chilly side of things. Your hourly forecast in Salt Lake City starting off with mostly cloudy skies. We'll see gradually decreasing clouds through the day and we'll be warming up rather nicely once we get past 10 o'clock this morning, as those daytime highs along the Wasatch Front will likely climb into the middle 50s, possibly upper 50s in Salt Lake City at 57, 71 in St. George, and 63 degrees by the time you get down to Bluff. So most spots outside of our higher elevations will see daytime highs predominantly in the 50s today. As we check our traffic, looks like we have a new accident that just popped up in the, I would say, south central part of the Salt Lake Valley. We'll get you that information coming up in about 10 minutes from now, but our drive times on the interstate still on time. Salt Lake City to Provo, 36 minutes in both directions. Safe travels.
All right, thank you, Thomas. Turning now to Utah's housing crunch. Home sales in Salt Lake County have now been falling for the last 9 months. According to the Salt Lake Board of Realtors, the last time housing sales fell continuously for this long was at the start of the Great Recession in 2008. Now, despite sales slowing, realtors say housing demand is still too high for the inventory to keep up. And realtors expect this competitive buying market to continue for 3 to 4 years until prices drop.
Dude, they're going to peak at some point. They're not going to go up any higher because our economy doesn't sustain it. People can't afford it.
Now, the Board of Realtors says to overcome the housing shortage, we need to build more homes, create denser, tighter knit cities. They also suggest if you're looking to buy a house, buy it now. They say prices will continue to rise.
Meanwhile, Governor Spencer Cox says he plans to sign bills aimed at lowering those housing prices. Now, during his monthly press conference yesterday, he says adding the amount of homes being built here in Utah will help with that. But he did say market corrections might be what ultimately lowers those prices. He also spoke about the record high gas prices that we're seeing here in Utah.
The bad news, and it's all bad news. I mean, there's no good news. I mean, it is the highest actual amount that we've ever paid here in the state of Utah.
And Utahns are definitely feeling the pinch. Now, Governor Cox says he can't repeal the state gas tax because it pays for most of UDOT's employees' salaries. Instead, he says he plans to meet with state oil leaders and see what can be done to lower those prices.
We're hoping we can do something. All right, then the time now is 7:08. Coming up on GMU, police warning about a potentially dangerous TikTok trend. Hear why officers worry the latest pranks could be deadly.
Some big upsets in day one of the NCAA basketball tournament, and the Utah women's team gets ready for action. We'll hear from them coming up next in sports.
And don't forget, staying informed, never easier. ABC4 News is there for you. Get all the latest news headlines right there on your phone. Just download the ABC4 News app. All you do is scan the QR code on your screen. We're back with sports after this.